the President of the United States has tweeted in the last couple of minutes. He said the deep state and the left and their vehicle, the fake news media, are going crazy and they don't know what to do. The economy is booming like never before. Jobs are at historic highs. Soon, too, Supreme Court justices and maybe declassification to find additional corruption. Wow. Of course, he's talking about the Trump traitor that has revealed himself, although not his identity, in the pages of the New York Times.
But is that the feeling inside the administration?
Let's bring in Newt Gingrich, Fox News contributor, former Speaker of the House, 2012 GOP presidential candidate, and author of Trump's America. Good morning to you, Mr. Speaker. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. You know, that may have been one of President Trump's best tweets, because it starts to put not just the Trump traitor, as you put it, in the New York Times, but also the Woodward fiction book, all in the right framework, which is over here, North Korea announced yesterday that they wanted to get to a nuclear-free Korea, which should have been a big deal. Kavanaugh is steadily moving towards becoming the next Supreme Court justice, which ought to be a big deal. The economy is booming. These are all real things. Over here is the liberal media running in circles, totally crazed, and I think that the gap here, I think the president had exactly right. And I think historians will look back and think that the left just, much like what happened in the Senate, the left just kind of went crazy this year.
But the thing is, Newt, it's not really the liberal media, unless the New York Times is totally going to get out of the news business entirely. It was somebody from the inside that checked out as somebody on the inside. They got it on Monday. They published it on Wednesday afternoon. So it's real. You walk in there when we don't.
What?
You talk to the president when the curtain's down. Do you sense that people that work for him feel this way?
Look, first of all, there are several thousand political appointees. So who knows? Every president, if you go as a historian, I can just tell you, you can go to president after president. Is there somebody in the White House who's unhappy, or somebody who is such a remarkable genius that they're offended because Trump, you know, doesn't use the right language? I mean, who knows? My point would be deeper. This stuff is all junk. Well, because the fact is, the White House is functioning. The fact is, we're about to get our second Supreme Court justice. The fact is, the economy is growing. I mean, if Trump is so incompetent, how's all this stuff happening?
Because of this person who wrote the op-ed, according to him or her.
Well, you know what, Newt? In the op-ed, the guy admits that great things are getting done, to your point. But at the same time, he goes, right. I just don't like him. I don't like the way he takes a meeting. I don't like this. I don't like that. Well, what would Newt Gingrich's advice to this particular person do?
Look, first of all, he's behaving, I think, in a way which undermines and betrays the Constitution. He's working for the President of the United States. The President of the United States is picked by the American people. Here's this person, this coward, that's what it is a coward, who is hiding, writing anonymously, hasn't got the guts to come out in public, and frankly, what he ought to do is resign. And anybody who thinks that Trump is as bad as this guy thinks he is ought to just resign and go home. It's all right. Go teach at a college. They'll love you. Go work at CNN. They'll adore you. But this idea that we're going to have people floating around the federal government, paid by the taxpayer, working to undermine the President of the United States, I think that is a very outrageous arrogation of authority, and frankly, absolutely undermines the Constitution.
There's three people in the Woodward book that have used their names. It looks like Gary Cohn, it looks like Reince Priebus, and it looks like Rob Porter. What do you make of that?
I don't actually understand the question. I mean, Cohen clearly publicly disagreed with the president about trade policy. That's not a secret. And he did the honorable thing. He left. He wasn't happy. Porter was pretty happy until, sadly, some things came out about his private life. And I think there was a real sense of sadness at the White House. In the case of Reince, look, I think Reince was absolutely central to Trump winning because the organization Reince built for four years worked. That was the turnout. And Reince was from Wisconsin. Carrying Wisconsin was vital. On the other hand, there's no question that the president and Reince in the White House world didn't work as well as they could have. But I can tell you, because I just talked to Priebus a couple of days ago, Priebus absolutely wants this president to succeed and absolutely believes that every loyal Republican has an obligation, both in 18 and in 20, to help keep this movement going forward. I would say that doesn't mean he doesn't recognize the president has weaknesses, but give me a break.
All right.
I mean, every president has weaknesses. The fact is, Trump has been remarkably effective for a guy who was never in public office, never dealt with these kind of things. His learning curve is pretty phenomenal.
But he needs a guy like you around him who understands him and also understands the government. You got to go into the White House, Newt.
No, look, I keep trying to tell you guys, actually, overall, he's doing fine. Now, if I was them, and I would have to say, John Kelly is a remarkable patriot and has done a great job of stabilizing things. But the team as a whole, I look at the quality of people like Brooke Rollins, for example, who's come in from the Texas Foundation. She is a first-class talent. And I can just tell you that there are a lot of very smart people working to make this administration successful. And the president, I think, is getting to be more effective over time. And I think he framed it correctly today. I'd like to see him spend more of his time defining the big things he's doing and less of his time getting sucked into Washington baloney.
Which is why he did. I agree with you. That tweet was excellent. A good reminder of the good things he's doing for our country.
All right, Newt.
Thanks so much, Mr. Speaker.
Right.
All right.